All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Parasite the Maxim, episode 14.
So we had a few important things happen last episode. Not the least of which is the fact that someone caught Shinichi and Migi on camera.
Yes.
And they didn't kill them. But in fact, they had a bit of a disagreement in the heat of things about whether they were going to kill him or not. So
Shinichi and Migi are a bit at odds with each other, and this led to a conversation that wasn't a conversation because they didn't. Because Shinichi got essentially truth blocked by Migi waking up, which seemed to surprise him there. So it's a thing of, wait, did Migi figure out a way to wake up early, or did Shinichi pull a dumb and
forgot that, you know, it had been around 4 hours since Migi fell asleep, you know?
So he didn't tell Murano. He hurt Murano even more.
Yep.
So yeah,
but at least his right hand didn't hurt her.
Yeah. But things are not good between Shinichi and Migi now, because Migi is going to be aware that this happened, and or suspicious.
Well, there was the whole thing where Shinichi was like holding back a bladed, you know, Migi
that too.
hand.
That
that could have been metaphorical, I guess, theoretically, you know, but I don't think it was. But thankfully, at least the camera was captured. You know, they were able to reclaim the camera, so there's no proof.
But this all ties back to Tamiya Ryoko, so that's
actually good, probably.
Yeah, but it's still a thing. It's still a thing. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, so go check out the reaction portion of the video in the link in the description below, and then make sure to come back here for the discussion. Okay, so we've got a confrontation with Tamiya Ryoko.
Yep.
We brought in our boy from that town.
Uda.
Uda.
Yeah.
Thank you, Uda.
And that was I'm really glad they did that, and the whole way that they handled the investigator, that was really good. I liked it. I'm glad that Tamiya Ryoko's offhand comment about did you notice anything strange about his right hand was something that did not go unremembered. Yeah.
Yep.
By the investigator.
And also we have Migi showcasing a new side of himself in that he is being very compliant and, I would say, cooperative with Shinichi, to the point where he's utilizing some of the things he's learned about humans to make the investigator sympathize. Right. Even maybe empathize with Shinichi.
We got sides from Migi, well, all three, Migi, Tamiya Ryoko, and Shinichi this episode that we have absolutely not seen before.
What was the Shinichi one?
Oh, just the entire last bit of the episode with, you know, out of the way humans and, you know, I killed her, you know, all of that.
Oh,
not that it's not justified, you know, and that there's a reason for it.
We saw the equivalent of that when he killed the parasite that killed Kana, though. So that was something I feel like we've been building up to.
But I feel like there's a difference between something that is an immediate in the moment, you know, vengeance because a parasite killed somebody, versus like going kind of psycho with regular people.
No, but it was Ryoko. It was Ryoko's way she was treating the baby that caused him to flip out.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, just the fact that it didn't end at a specific time has nothing to do with the people out there. It's just that he couldn't calm himself down. He has no control over his emotions when he gets acting up this way, because in some ways this whole part of him is something that's human. It's something that he himself, being not fully human anymore, can't, he doesn't have a grid for it, so he's reacting in such a strong way. The whole stuff with Uda seemed like Uda was kind of underutilized. Like, he kind of was just there to you know, drive a car.
Yeah, have a weird jaw. There. Yeah,
And well, I get that, you know, he's not a main character or anything like that. So that's the whole thing there. But how quickly we went from, okay, we did the investigator thing, to someone calls, oh, it's Tamiya Ryoko, hard cut to the university. Right. It felt very much like this was material adapted to get us along to the big points in the manga or what have you.
Yeah, like this is like there was the one chapter that's like the investigation resolving that whole thing, and then the cliffhanger for the chapter is a call from Tamiya Ryoko.
Yeah, but I think that there was stuff that they cut in order to get quickly to the university lecture and stuff like that.
Sure,
it just felt very choppy there.
That definitely could be a thing. The university lecture was quite interesting and
we should
relevant
talk about that.
to Tamiya, which makes sense why she went to the lecture.
Right.
Which
the way she treats her baby, though.
Yeah,
she's not being subtle. Like she's not being subtle about the fact that she's off. Like something about her is off.
And it's kind of weird because she was holding the baby very normally when she was talking with Shinichi. But which is basically when no one was around to see it.
Well, I think that's maybe a point of discussion is that if she doesn't care how the people there at the university see it,
then she does care about how Shinichi sees it.
Yes, which means something more.
That she was intentionally working to unsettle him because she knew that his mom had probably been killed by a parasite.
No, I don't think that she knew about that because she
guessed it. But
yeah, when he started mentioning the thing about
there's a reason I can't forgive your kind of a deal.
Yes,
sure.
And then,
but the reason that she was doing that was probably to in some way either unsettle Shinichi or do something completely different and make her seem normal and the baby seem normal or something, which then would contrast with what she ended up doing.
Okay.
What's your theory?
Okay, I think it's a little bit more simple than that. The basic thing is just that she knew that she had a little bit of a risk going to meet Shinichi alone. She knows that there's something different about him, something that makes him in some ways a potential actual threat to her survival. So she brings this child, this symbol of humanity, to basically say, don't you dare hurt me, because I've got this precious, cute little child here.
Right.
You wouldn't want to hurt this innocent little baby, would you?
Mm-hmm.
And then there you
go. I'll totally make you hurt this baby before me.
Well, right. Because then the minute there was any threat to her, she brings up the baby as a human shield. It seems very simple in that regard. Because every other time that we've seen her, in other things with the baby and stuff, there was the nanny. Mm-hmm. There was a person taking care of the baby. So she's used to actually leaving the baby at home. Mm-hmm. So I think that this was an example of where she actually brought the baby there because she wanted to use it as a potential human shield if need be.
Right.
So
the nanny probably isn't working for her anymore, but that's neither here nor there.
I think she could just hire a new one if she really wanted another nanny.
Yeah.
It's not like nannies have like an association for like parent is weird psychopath potentially. Do not take work from this. I
think there are things like that, but they're smaller, and you could easily go to just a different organization. Yeah,
exactly.
Migi was very, very understanding.
Yes, and it's exciting,
and that is very exciting. And it makes me wonder how Migi is then going to, because it almost feels like it's going to end up being this thing where Shinichi will end up becoming more like how Migi used to be. With the added flavor of him still being very much a human, so there's a lot more fire and brimstone to his emotions and whatnot. Whereas then Migi ends up taking the kind of the best of both worlds in a sense that Migi is able to remain more level-headed and things like that, while still at least being able to fake empathizing, even if Migi isn't able to truly empathize. But that may end up changing eventually, who knows, because they are bonded. And if it goes one way for Shinichi, then it could very easily go the other way for Migi.
Yeah, the thing I see that's maybe like one of the things that goes well with that is that while they're bonded, because he's no longer gaining, I would say, any more human traits from Shinichi due to the fact that Shinichi is no longer, I would say, becoming more and more human. He's actually becoming less and less human over time.
Yeah.
That if anything, like Migi is kind of what they showed at the end of this episode. Migi is going to have to stir back up feelings of human emotion in him without actually having a point of reference for what those things are anymore.
Sure.
So he'll need to either do it from memory or
he might need to bring back Murano.
He might need to bring back situations, people like Murano.
Yep.
Or encourage him to do things that, are maybe a little risky, but have some long-term benefits, like
talking to his dad or
talking to a therapist,
sure, that too.
Not even kidding. Like if we're going to get fully integrated here, Migi, like we need to figure out a way for you to coax Shinichi out of darker, aggressive places without resorting to your own form of aggression, because you are no longer a threat really to Shinichi at this point.
Right. It almost feels like it's one of those things where even humans don't necessarily fully integrate into human society, right? So, like,
explain.
Well, the idea that, you know, society is based on a relative amount of normalcy amongst humans, but then there's always humans that are different, right? That don't fit in as well necessarily.
So they don't always, is what you're saying.
And there are you know, things like say like a therapist, for instance, that could be a situation of people trying to fit better into society or just better take care of themselves, right?
Yeah.
So there are things in place that could be utilized for helping to fit into society that even humans use, because that's one of the big struggles of humans is basically rising to the occasion and the standard set by society, right? So there is a lot of things that Migi could use there if Migi needed, you know, felt that was basically necessary. What that would end up looking like, who knows? Probably won't end up being a therapist or something like that, because, you know, one, that's not as exciting, but two, Migi might have issues with that in particular.
I think actually the equivalency of a therapist is basically what's going to end up being needed here, regardless of whether or not it's Murano or someone else,
or even Migi. Like,
no, Migi's not gonna.
Migi wouldn't probably be able to, but
Migi's not able to. Like, in some ways, I feel like Migi is in a really bad place now, and that's why we're seeing him resort to methods that are outside of his usual skill set.
Sure.
Because in some ways, it's him being intelligent, it's him being smart, but it's also, I would say, just showcasing that he's being put at a disadvantage. He's being put in a place, in a position that's uncomfortable, one where he doesn't have actually, I would say, controlling interest. Like, he doesn't have a controlling power in what goes down now. So with that little bit of a confrontation between him and Shinichi at the place where the investigator was seen for the first time, there was a very clear shift in the
power dynamic.
In the power dynamic. Basically, I thought what was going to happen was that there was going to be a confrontation where Migi was going to be like, hey, if you do that again, I'm going to take my chances and split off from you and try and reintegrate with someone else. And maybe I'll get the brain this time. You know, I don't know if that's even possible. I don't think that is possible.
Or get the right hand and have it, the transfer work properly.
There's basically like a 1 in a million chance that Migi would survive that. Like, he's made a big point that he's like, I do not want to do that under like any circumstances.
Yeah.
So him taking this route though is basically saying, Shinichi, I will work with you. Please work with me. Right.
Help me help you.
Yeah, help me help you. Yeah. And then when we get into this situation where we have Tamiya Ryoko, she brings up that his mom was killed by a parasite, which triggers his trauma, his PTSD. He ends up, you know, having his heart rate spikes. It goes into like stupid high mode, and probably because in some ways his heart was replaced with a parasite's parts.
But the rest of his body might not be able to keep up, kind of a thing.
It's something where, when his heart basically goes into fight or flight mode, you know, into that level of fear, his body, is not capable of handling it at that level. So it's basically like he goes catatonic almost. He's conscious, but it's just barely so. And it's something that Migi still doesn't fully understand, the connection between the human emotion and then the physical aspect of the fact that his heart and all of his body is enhanced and is hyper tuned to all this stuff here.
But he's learning, like, because he can see the effects, even if it's not something that he himself experiences.
Migi?
Yeah.
Migi doesn't experience this.
I know, that's what I just said.
Oh, I thought you said... Wait, so then say that again?
He can still see the effects of it, even if it's not something he himself experiences.
Okay, right. He experiences it vicariously in the sense that he can understand how intense Shinichi is feeling at that moment there.
Right. How he's aware of how it's affecting his body.
Right, but he's not experiencing the negative repercussions necessarily.
Right. He's not experiencing what was the catalyst for it, the emotion side of things.
Right.
But he knows that that's there, and then it causes this thing to happen. And
that's the thing I would love to get into is, do you think that he actually feels the emotion, or what he feels is the physical response to said emotion?
Oh yeah, I don't think he feels the actual emotion, but he feels the physical response to the emotion, and that even if he doesn't feel the emotion, he knows that the emotion was there.
Okay, so that's the thing I'm not sure about. What I'm not sure about is that Migi is basically unaware of the fact that just because he gets this physical response and stuff, he knows that it's a form of like, okay, he's not calm.
Right, it's part of that whole human weakness thing, where they freak out over things.
Okay, let me bring up a thing here, because there was something where he's like, why can't you calm down, basically, here.
Well, right, and I think the reason he said that is because usually when Shinichi would have things like that, he would calm down very quickly. And it was kind of an improvement that he had, is, because of the whole transition and whatnot. When faced with things like in the school and whatnot, he would freak out for a bit, but then he would calm down very quickly. But he didn't here, and that's different. Because usually he'd calm down in, 5 to 10 seconds. But here, even maybe half an hour later, he's still freaking out about it.
Why? Why is this out of the way, humans?
Right.
Which is like a freaky thing, and then it skips to him being in the alley. He's running here, and he says, "What's the matter with you, Shinichi? Why can't you calm down?" Yeah. So it sounds like he's saying, "Why can't you calm down now?" Right. Yeah. That's a very easy thing to extrapolate. Yeah, I can't forgive her. I just can't, not her. Then he flashes to showing is like he used his child as a shield. Yep. I haven't done anything to it yet. Yeah. So what it is it seems to be it's a thing of where this is part of his. Part of his internal state connected back to his memory of his mom violating one of the primary laws of nature, which is interesting because the lecture was surrounding the idea of, why does infanticide happen? What's the reason for that? Yeah. And then of course there's no discussion on it at this point. So now I think what's interesting to bring up here is that Migi, I don't feel like understands exactly what is going on, because then I think he would try to add more things.
Right, because he can only understand what's going on from an outsider perspective of trying to extrapolate based on what he knows of human emotion without having experienced it.
Okay, I was meaning more from the physical side, but yeah, because he can't experience the emotion stuff, right. Mm-hmm. So, but he has a basis for the physical stuff. Like, he's not even an outsider; he's kind of an insider. in that regard.
Right, and that's why he's like, why can't you calm down? Because usually, the physical stuff would get resolved fairly quickly, right? And then it's like, oh no, it's an emotional problem, and that kind of shuts Migi up because he's like, oh crap, well I can't, I don't know what to do about that, yeah. Okay,
so we have this situation where Migi's.
I feel like it's because the power balance has definitely shifted. Migi is taking different tactics because he hasn't had to deal with or even mentally simulate the whole emotional thing before. But now, because of how Shinichi's behaving and acting, and the fact that he doesn't, if Shinichi really wanted to do something and Migi didn't want him to do it, he couldn't stop him, right? In the same way that when Shinichi wanted to stop him from killing the investigator, Shinichi was able to stop him. So hence the whole thing with the private investigator of actually being like, okay, let's talk to him, because you seem to be so averse to killing people, and I can't really do that when you're opposed to it like you are. Yeah. And you almost told Murano about everything last night, when I was asleep, which is kind of a problem. Yeah. Okay, I'll play by your rules now. And because his rules are so dominated by emotion, Migi's like, okay, I'll try and fit into that mold, kind of, sort of, so that maybe I can still get you to do what's best for the both of us, or what's best for me. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So when they brought up the whole thing of infanticide, did that at all make you think of the relationship between Migi and Shinichi?
No. Okay. I saw it primarily as a thing between where they're relating back to the whole idea of, Tamiya Ryoko, and her child, and then also now that they brought that up, the relationship between Shinichi's mom and him, how she attempted that, and that basically violated so many aspects of his psyche that it broke him internally.
Right. Even though it was a parasite, it doesn't
matter.
She
it's
looked
the
like
fact that it
his
looked
mother.
like his mother.
Yep.
And she came at him and tried to kill him. There's something I would say about maybe the complexity of humans, such that we try to rationalize and understand too much, whereas I think an animal at a lower level of intelligence and kind of capacity for critical thinking might just simply go into fear.
Yeah. And
while that's something that would be scary, the capacity to survive maybe
goes up,
to I'm saying that the capacity that they have is simply to survive, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So they don't have any other frame of reference for just in the same way that it would be terrifying and it would probably traumatize a little hamster if the father came to just come and eat the little one because it felt like it was attacking the mother during its feeding sessions.
Right. It wouldn't try to understand that necessarily. It would try to survive.
Right.
Much in the same way that the private investigator did not just do the smart thing and leave well enough alone. He kept trying to investigate, even though that was there was direct evidence that was bad for his chances of survival.
Right.
So,
and that is also a thing that is maybe something we have to accept about certain kind of entertainment things and stories and stuff, is that people do these kinds of things that are not what the general masses would do because it doesn't create a story.
We don't want to hear stories about the general masses, unless this is slice of life or something, and even then, usually,
But this show seems to be very much trying to draw the contrast between those that are of the general masses and those that end up with the
doing the more extraordinary things.
Well, doing the more societally different deviant kind of things, essentially. Where
extraordinary has a positive connotation.
This is where you have people holding their babies by the scruff of their their clothes on the back and then swinging them around.
Not ordinary. But not necessarily commendable.
Exactly. And the parasites is like a symbol of that, basically.
Right, exactly. It's an example in a sci-fi setting with a sci-fi explanation for why this exists. But there's probably mothers out there that carry their babies like that.
Yeah,
as terrifying as that is to think about.
The whole lecture. Let's bring that up and then kind of call it here. But do you think that the themes being communicated there go beyond just the simple thing of whether or not humans and animals share certain kind of desires regarding just passing along DNA? Or do you think that there's something they're trying to say about emotion is something
can be tied to simply survival instinct that formulated a certain way because of how we interact with each other as a species?
Yeah, because they said that the theory says that love and compassion do not exist.
Right. Well, and this is what I did like about the lecture is that it's going at the things that clearly is why Tamiya Ryoko was interested and went to this lecture in the first place, right? Yeah. But then at the same time, they're like, so you could say blah, 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 love and compassion don't exist. Now, there's issues with this because there are other things that it doesn't solve, but it's an interesting concept and question to think about,
Yes.
Because so often, even when people are generous, you could say not to say that this is right or not, but the argument could be made that it's actually a selfish thing because the person feels good when they do it, or because if they do that, then there's this idea that karma, that basically either that person or someone that witnessed it or something like that will do the same for them if they're ever in trouble.
Right.
You know, insurance of a kind, right?
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Who's to say? You know, certainly in the tribal settings, if you didn't play friendly, you were kicked out of the tribe. You know, so there could be an evolutionary reason for why we behave in certain ways, but that doesn't explain everything.
Yeah, this was the part that I thought was kind of freaky, though, was when they started talking about the exceptions that basically say that this theory is obviously has some flaws in it, was the idea that animals of different species sometimes help each other. And there have been, I would say more recently, because of the internet and because everyone has a camera these days, showcasing some really cool things you find in the animal kingdom.
Yep.
And every once in a while I'll see one where it's like, oh, that bird needs help. And then that dog came around and helped that bird out of this thing.
Why
and you go like,
that?
Wait, that's just general benevolence, right?
Yeah.
And the way he was describing it was with the selfish gene. And I'm like, selfishness, wait.
Well, I think the selfishness was before this was what contrasted the selfishness, is in that the caring for your own kind, it's well you want to see your
you're right.
You know, your DNA pass on through the next generation and whatnot. But when that isn't involved,
right,
when there is no you know, like clear way that the individual would benefit from doing this thing, why do they do it?
Right. The contrast of that is with the selfish gene. Thank you. Right. Let's throw Shinichi onto the not human train real quick.
Mm-hmm. I'm all for that.
What happened when he encountered Tamiya Ryoko and she decided to basically mock his mother's death and then use the child as a human shield? He started to feel this aggression, this hatred, this animosity towards her specifically. Mm-hmm. But there was this part, I think, that the reason why he felt this way was not just because she targeted him and made him feel bad or something. Was because he saw the connection between a mother and child in front of him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was like abhorrent to him. It was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So it violated something in him internally and made him want to help something of another species. Because there's nothing regarding let's think about this as he was already in a point of where his emotions were going out of control.
Sure.
So he was getting more and more focused onto a negative emotion, meaning that what he was feeling potentially for the two beings in front of him was not love or compassion, meaning it wasn't an altruistic reason as to why he was feeling like she was unforgivable.
Yes.
Or,
well, and if anything, like, you know, tell me what you think about this, but it almost felt to me like the whole thing with not killing her right there was because of the last vestiges of his humanity that were basically saying, harming that baby is something that I cannot do. And yet I feel this overwhelming hatred and urge to destroy this thing in front of me. But because of this thing that's basically just a little switch that basically, because it's on, I can't, you know, that's maybe why it didn't go away. You know, if he had killed Tamiya Ryoko right there, you know, he might have felt better about himself, right? He might not have still had all of this stuff bottled up that, you know, that caused him to act like he did afterwards.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah. Basically, I think they're bringing up something about Shinichi's altruism versus his selfishness that's going to be a problem moving forward.
Because it was, it was definitely for selfish reasons that he wanted to kill Tamiya Ryoko. Yeah.
And yet, I think that there was that part of him that believed for maybe even a split second that there was something altruistic about it. But because it was just it's someone like this shouldn't exist, and you know, and I will be helping other people. I don't know who they are necessarily. But he's not even
making sure that this person doesn't exist. But it's not even reaching there. It's just a
way
pure
down
burning emotion.
Yeah, he's way down here at the base level. So So, we have to wait and see on that regard.
We do.
The confrontation, the little exchange with the fortune teller was hilarious.
Yeah, giving the generic advice of the, you need to meet this person and talk your problems out, you know, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I killed her. That line.
It's like, yeah.
It's like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, Shinichi, you're in
trouble.
Way.
You're in a bad way. Yeah. And what I would love to see is if Migi basically realizes, oh, this is the instability of humans coming in. Okay, I have to calm him down, but I can't calm him down with the whole Parasite way of calming people down, because that might, if anything, exacerbate the problem.
What's the Parasite way?
Basically of saying, no, emotions are stupid. You need to be, you know, like...
He's never calmed anyone down that way.
No, I know. But because he knows that wouldn't work, and Shinichi is in this state, that he would need to basically observe Shinichi and listen to Shinichi and basically try and understand where the emotions that Shinichi is feeling to the way that to the extent so that he could address them with Shinichi in a way that will be helpful.
Migi therapy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That would be funny. That would be funny.
Like, because Migi would be totally bad at it, but at the same time, that's kind of like desperate times call for desperate measures, maybe. You know?
I want the father to come back into play.
Me too.
I want the father to come back into play and be actually really helpful.
Hey, maybe Migi puts that together and is like, you know what? You need to talk to your dad about this. I've read that that's helpful. Like, you know, whatever.
He does some quick Googling and it's like, hey, you know, I think I know some ways that might help you. And he's going to be like, shut up, Migi. And he's like, no, you shut up and listen. Like, like this is not okay. We need to solve this. And even if it's going to take you just like 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes.
I'm willing to live with someone else knowing our secret if it gets you like,
God.
out of this deal.
No. Migi is not stupid enough to convince him to tell his father that, because then his father is going to believe that he killed the mother. It's completely inane. Stupid. No.
They told the whole story. They can make it work.
Well, okay.
Because there was the whole thing of like, you know, okay, she killed me, and then I hunted down the parasite thing and killed it. This is the scar from when it stabbed me in the heart. And, you know, but yeah, that would be an extreme situation that, like, the whole thing of even talking to the dad, that's if Migi really...
No, I was talking to him just about my feelings kind of thing. Yeah. Like, not telling him the parasite thing. God, like, he was so out of it once he just, like, was just trying to forget about the whole thing and all that. So
yeah, that's true.
Now, to be fair, the whole thing with the mom dying happened, you know, far away from the house and everything like that.
Right.
But the idea that the parasite, you know, he doesn't know that there's, you know, like...
Well, he knows that there's multiple parasites.
He knows there's multiple parasites, but he doesn't know that there's, like, that one parasite and then this parasite. Like, it's all...
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't the government talk to him about it?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
But anyways,
I'm forgetting
Shinichi's in a tough way right now, and hopefully Migi can help, but it's not exactly Migi's forte, so...
No.
Yeah.
So y'all, that was an episode. But if you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us about these stories, about anime in general. You get involved with the community there. And you can also talk with Jacob about his book.
Yes, my sci-fi novel Battle Lines is still available for order on Amazon. The link's in the description below. So go check it out. Don't forget to leave a review and let people know what you think.
Yeah, so if anything that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.